Well, hello everyone. It has been a while since I have posted anything on YouTube, mainly because my service usually in the shop is a little slow, but I was able to get one bar of service, so hopefully this will go. But welcome back to the Code of the West, and I'm working on a saddle today. I just finished this one up in the background here, but I'm working on a saddle today, and as you can tell, I'm wearing some merchandise that I started carrying in my shop. Two YouTube channels, Code of the West and Ride for the Brand. Ride for the Brand, a few updates, is a YouTube channel I started where it showcases my saddles and my tack in use on a ranch or in a guiding situation or team roping or whatever the person ordered it for. If they send me a video of themselves using my gear, I post it to Ride for the Brand YouTube channel. So far, there's only one video that I think I've posted on there, and it was in a guide outfit, a saddle being used. But to get back to what I normally do, and I post on YouTube for the Code of the West, is my saddles. And I have started a saddle today that has the ground seat plugs in it, and I don't think I've ever showed this on a saddle of how I start this. But first step that I do on a ground seat is I build these plugs, and so these plugs. Where's my tape measure? Hold on a sec. Grab my spare. These plugs on a saddle tree for doing the ground seat. The top, you got a 3-inch stirrup leather going through here. So the top is about 3.5 inches. Gives you enough opening. You can slide your stirrup leather nice and freely through there. You don't want to have to pull too hard, especially if you're in a hurry. You're adjusting, you're in team roping, and you're adjusting one fender shorter or longer for the team roping, and it's your turn. You're up. You want to do it as fast as you can. This bottom part is 5 inches. So 5 inches from here to here, angled, gets you a perfect a perfect leather spot for your stirrup leather to slide through. So that's those plugs, and they're usually two layers thick. So about to give you guys an estimate, about that thick is what you want, so that you got enough depth there as well. You don't want your stirrup leather sliding up around your tree bar and then your fenders on top of that and it creating a bulge in your seat. You don't want a bulge. So these plugs right here, you can design yours how you want. Your main goal for doing this plug is to get the thickness for your stirrup leather slot. So your main goal, you skive this out. This hasn't been skived yet. You glue this on. Now I don't scratch my rawhide. Some people do. I don't. Tree makers go through a lot of work to make sure that these are waterproof to a point. I don't scratch my rawhide. So I just glue it straight on, and it glues pretty tight. I've never had a seat pop. So you glue that on. You put these on first so that you can bump your blocks up to here. So everything is perfect. When you put these on, very important thing, when you put these on, put your tree up on a table. Put a ruler across and then measure up from the table so that you get the exact same distance. You don't want these to be different, or then you have one fender in front of the other and then you feel like you're corkscrewing out of the saddle the whole time. It's very uncomfortable. You don't want that. That's very important. That's probably more important than the style of plugs that you put in. Let's see here. I'm working on two saddles at the same time. Different trees. That's a wood rawhide. This is a wood glass tree. These are out of Wyoming. These already have the ground seat or the strainer plate already in. If you decide you want to go this route, and instead of putting your strainer plate in your rawhide, you want to go with a tree that already has the strainer plate in. That's fine. You can do that, but you still got to build this up. You still got to build a spot for your stirrup leathers. And how you do that is like this. I'll show you. I'm back. This is how you do that. You do a full piece of leather. You do two of these. About the same. This one sticks out a little bit further than this one. But then once you get it where you need it, you cut that out. And now you have a cutout. And if you don't want a cutout and you don't want a saddle seat that is cut out, you simply put a third piece over the top to cover this up. But on this saddle, it will have a cutout seat, so I got to leave this cut out. But that's how you do it if you use a saddle tree that has the strainer plate already built into it, so that you can get that gap there. Yeah, just thought I'd point that out to those of you that buy with a strainer plate already in. But this is just kind of a quick update. I haven't done I see there's some guys watching, and thanks for watching. It's just I haven't posted in a long time, and I'm sorry for that. But life's been a little crazy around here. But this is a front style. You want, when you're doing this, usually you use two blocks, and I'll show you the other ones. I'll just have the patterns of those ones. No, there it is. Okay. Okay, so what you saw was the first one that goes on. It's smaller. On the back, this is the other one on the back. And where it goes, after you've skived this down, and when you start skiving, you skive just this part from here back to a feather edge. Then you cut this block out, and you skive this edge right here. You guys can't see that. This edge right here, you skive that to fairly thin, couldn't be feather thin. And then when you glue it on, get this in a better spot for you to see. You glue it on like this, butt it up against your block there. Make sure that it hangs over the opening just a little bit, you know. You just want it to hang over so you can trim that off with a knife later so it's nice and smooth. And when somebody tips the saddle upside down, it looks clean. Butt it up and glue it down and skive that out as well. That's how you do your plugs for a ground seat. On the fronts are really easy. Hardest part on the front is skiving the first one. The top one is really, really easy. You scratch the leather, scratch it with a scratcher. I don't think you can get these ones anymore, but you can get one similar to this, and it's a scratcher, and it scratches the leather so that the glue will adhere to the leather and then adhere to the tree when you do it. But scratch it, glue this piece, let it dry. Sure, by this point you guys know how to use contact cement, but then you butt it up to your block just like that. Make sure it sticks over the opening too. You can cut it out later. And then you'll skive it. Your whole goal is to get this to the same level as your block that you have made, and to skive so that you don't have any bump going into your swell. Now a slick fork, if it was my first saddle and I was watching this video and I wanted to learn how to build a saddle, the first saddle I would learn how to build is a wade tree. Because when you put on a wade tree fork cover, it's way easier than putting on a swell fork. A swell fork, yeah, switch out these saddles so you guys can see. A swell fork cover, try to move my stand here closer, a little closer. A swell fork, not only do you have to go over a fork, but if you're not sweating it on, you got to create a welt. And not only are you creating a welt, you got to get your welts in the same position on each side, because you don't want to look over the front and go have them off centered. Look over the front and have them off centered like this. You got to have them right across from each other. Now it's a little easier on a welt that comes forward like that on a bronc saddle than it is that one goes straight over the front, because it's all about where your eye looks. So swell forks are way trickier than doing a slick fork or a weight tree. I would strongly suggest, if you're wanting to get into building saddles, do weight tree first, whether that's what you ride or not. Build it, use it for a while, sell it. And I would suggest, if it's your first saddle, don't make it fancy. Make it plain. Go after the basics. Make it solid rough out. Make it eye appealing functionally. You can work on the frills later. But that's about all there is to this video. Ask me, you can email me, Sterling, stingsaddlery.com, or you can put a comment down. I try to check my comments. You can subscribe to the channel, although I don't update it like I should. But you can, and when the next video pops up, you'll see it. YouTube for me is basically just trying to get it out there so you guys can see how a saddle's built, and you can try it yourself. Learn how to do leather work. Start with something small and work up to a saddle. I'll try to get some more videos up here or go live more often. Hope you guys like this. I will, before I end this live, I will show you some of the tools for skiving, what I use. I use this tool. I call it a skiver. It's actually called a safety beveler if you wanted to order one. This is what I use. You can get your blades from, I think it's called the Razor Blade Company. Let's see, hold on. I don't have a retail store anymore, so I don't sell this stuff. So you'll have to kind of get it yourself. But this is where I get my blades from. And yes, I buy a lot of them because I go through a lot of them. And you'll talk to some saddle makers that say sharpen them. I don't sharpen them. I just buy them, throw them in the garbage when I'm done. But yeah, they'll come in a sleeve that looks like that, and that's all blades right there. And there's 2 rows of them. So yes, for those of you that didn't see that, you can screenshot it. I don't post things down in the comments of where to buy things. I'm not a reviewer. I'm just a saddle maker. This is how you use this tool. You'll want to use water. I need to wet it again. I also spray my leather. Kind of keeps my hands from getting dried out. I used to use a sponge, and you can still use a sponge. That's how probably 75% of the saddle makers out there, they use a sponge, and they dip, and put it on. But I've been using this same still water bottle sprayer for 8 years. It hasn't worn out yet, so I think they're like 25 bucks. But this is how you use this tool. And maybe I'll jack my stand up so you guys can kind of see it better. Hope you guys can see it better. But this is how you use this tool, and this is how you skive this plug. You just kind of work it down. You try to get a concave in it a little bit. Leave this area right here, up here, just here. You leave this area right here full thickness, if you can see that pin mark. That's what you leave full thickness, because that's part of your plug of how you're trying to get everything set up. Skive it thin. Maybe I'll put on another piece for you just so you can see. I know I can watch a long saddlery making video, but I know not everybody can. So, let's see if this, cool, it's the correct one. So, you want this being on the bottom. Now, I'm going to walk over to my machine and I'm going to skive that really quick here. Bear with me. I have a machine. It's called a 3-in-1. You can sometimes get them. Landis made them, but Landis doesn't make them anymore. Landis company burnt down years ago, long time ago, and it basically bevels it, so I don't have to skive that. So take your, see if I can turn this without losing service. Take your scratcher and scratch the leather. Take your glue, your barge. You can use barge. I use 2 different types of glue. I use barge, and I also, you can use wood weld. Wood weld you can get from your local Ace Hardware, Lowe's. I don't know what you guys have in other countries. In Montana, we have Ace, we have Lowe's, we have Home Depot, but your hardware store. You can get it from them. No, turn this back. You want to see me gluing this? Just put it on there. If it's a little wet, that's okay. It's not a water-based cement, it's an oil cement, so it'll stick. And then you just kind of wait for that to dry. While it's drying, you can always be skiving a gullet cover or skiving your strainer plate cover on a saddle with a metal strainer plate like this. You'd form this to get the perfect form. You can form it with your hand. I usually beat it on a sandbag, with a hammer. Get it formed exactly how I want it, because this is also your slope for your seat, and you don't want a wrinkle here, so you don't want it making a pop sound every time you go to ride. So you form this to your blocks perfectly. When you glue your strainer plate cover in, you'd glue it in a little bit past your strainer plate, so that when you tack it in place, your strainer plate cover never pops off or wrinkles up. Like you've thrown a saddle on a saddle stand and the strainer plate cover wrinkled up underneath. Yeah, it wasn't put in like this. And usually those ones are shap leather and they don't work properly anyhow. But on a saddle like this, you don't have that option. So what I always do is I put my strainer plate cover in, and then I just splash it up on the sides a little bit, and then my skirts help, and then I glue it really good. And the only thing that keeps it on is you wrap it around your stirrup leather slot and around your gullet. You can bring it up a little further and let it come back here, and then tack it into the cantle. Keeps it kind of in the back. But if you splash it a little bit on your bars, your skirts help keep it in place. So I love Dusty Smith's trees. They're really strong. That's the only thing I don't like is I'm a control freak and I like to put my own strainer plate in. But other than that, he's a great guy. He's a great tree maker, and he's a good friend. So that's why I support him. So that's drying. I don't know of anything else I can talk about while I'm doing it. I guess I could talk about something else other than a ground seat. I guess I'll talk about some tools. So when you're building a saddle, as we all start out, we start out with the cheapest tools possible, right? Um, Works for a while, but it's a good way to cut your finger off with a dull head knife. So I use a really high quality head knife. I've never cut myself with a head knife bad enough to go to the doctor. You know, I've cut myself, but not bad. This guy is Scott Tishner, and he's out of Wyoming, and he builds a really good head knife. They are expensive. They're probably around $300 for a head knife. But if you're gonna buy a tool and you're gonna spend and you want to spend money on it, but you want a good tool that will last a long time, buy a Scott Tishner head knife. Another one that's really good, but they're hard to get. They're just like it's the guy that trained Scott Tishner how to build head knives, and it's Terry Nipshield. Now I've had this knife for 8 years. It used to look like this one right here in my left hand. It used to look like that, but I've used it a lot, and I love these head knives. And his were back in the day, 8 years ago, like $250. So they're not cheap, but they will last a long time, and they're worthwhile. They're worth the money. Another good tool that you'll need for doing a saddle is a tack hammer. Now you can get these from Jeremiah Watt, Horseshoe Brand Tools, ranch2arena.com, I think, or .net is his website, and you can get these. I think they're like 60 to 80 bucks. They're worth the money, every bit of it. You can use this end for pounding stuff in, but I use this end a lot. They're a little light for doing like blocking your skirts, but they're great for everything else. Another hammer that you'll need for saddlery. Now you can get just a plain shoe hammer, but this has a longer neck on it, or a longer back end, and this is designed for doing saddles. You can put your your Cheyenne roll on the back of your saddle in with this. You can tap it into place. It works really good. This is a must if you're going to be a saddle maker. You got to have one of these. Another one, it's a Jeremiah Watt from Horseshoe Brand Tools. I think it says it right there. If that comes in clear, Horseshoe Brand. So, and he has a lot of other tools that saddle makers use. I use a lot of his tools. There are some tools I use that are custom, and you can only get them if you know somebody has a wood lathe that will make a custom tool. My glue's still drying, so bear with me. This tool, it's called a candlestick, and I'm sure you guys have seen these from like Ron's Tools, or maybe down at the Rocky Mountain Leather Show, somebody's built them. But this one's out of African Blackwood. Now, a friend of mine made this for me before he passed away, and this is a custom tool. You got to get them custom made. It's a must, I would say. I use this every time I build a saddle. Every time, give or take. If it's doing a straight up cannel, I don't use it as much. But if I'm doing a Cheyenne roll, I use this every time. Another one of my main tools, also made of African Blackwood. It's called a rub stick. Now you can get these. You can get these made of glass. You can get them made of bone, plastic, wood, micarta. So this tool you can find. You don't have to get it custom made. This one's custom made by the same friend that made the candlestick for me. African Blackwood, very good. It is tough though. It is a really hard wood, very dense. So if you drop it, sometimes it breaks. So be careful. As I almost drop it. Another good tool. While that glue dries, another good tool that you'll need for a saddle, doing your horns, doing your cantle bindings, doing your Cheyenne rolls, anything that you pinch and leather together, is cantle pliers. Now from Jeremiah Watt, they're really nice because they have a lot of freedom there. They they don't bind up. So you can use it with one hand really easy. They got a deep throat on them, so you can do a Cheyenne roll really easy. They're a really, really good tool. And there's a better, I think you guys can read that. Horseshoe brand tools. So they're really good. I would strongly suggest getting a pair of can pliers from Jeremiah Watt. He makes the handles really nice too. Easy to use. Let's see if that glue is dry. Ooh, it is. It is. It's dry. Okay. There we go. You guys can see that. Hope you can see that. Yet again, we need water. Just wet that, not so much. It just has to bend. Has to bend around there. You're going around something, around the tree bar. Put it in place. Kind of line it up with your other one. Line up the back end. See how that sticks over past my tree bar? That's what you want. You can cut all that excess off later. You just want it to look nice. You should put just as much heart into your ground seat as you do into a floral tool pattern. This is your base. If you don't put, it's like building a house. If you don't put any love into the foundation of the house, you can build as fancy walls as you want, but that house is going to crumble down around your ears. If you don't, there's this hammer again. Hammer it into place. Another good tool that I could show you guys that you will use on a saddle. You can get these anywhere. You got to make them yourself. It's called a doorknob. This one has a leather handle. This one I built. You just grab it and you pound things into place. Best use of a doorknob. And then you grab your skiver. Hope I haven't lost all you guys yet. Trying to hurry for you. Skive it. And don't worry if you feel like, oh man, I used that skiver, but it didn't work as well as when Sterling did it. I've been doing this for 18 years now. So you're probably not going to do it as fast as I do it. But don't worry about speed. Speed comes. When I first started, my first saddle took me 120 hours. I just finished a saddle a couple months ago that I timed, and it took me 36 hours. So speed comes. Work on getting it done properly. Worry about speed later. Speed is not the goal. Perfection is. So you just skive that down. As you need more water, use it. Water is pretty cheap. At least here in Montana it is. Get your plateau here for your strainer plate to tack to. Get your concavedness, because your saddle's supposed to sit, you're supposed to sit in your saddle concaved a little bit. So it's hard. I had a guy comment, probably a year ago, wanting a full saddle making video from start to finish. And I recorded one. I had to empty my phone out in order to do it because I record off of a cell phone. it would never upload because the thing was, well, from start to finish with all the editing, it would have still been around 20 hours long. And it would have been really, really hard, so I didn't upload it. Your best bet, if you want to see a saddle built from start to finish, is to just order one, and then you can watch me build your saddle from start to finish. But I'll do these lives as much as I can. But that's kind of what you're looking for. So that's kind of what you're, see how that kind of concaves a little bit? It kind of goes down and then up, forms that ground seat. That's what you're looking for. And hopefully that helps you guys out on your ground seats. Plugs play a big role in a ground seat. Getting that plug in there, getting that stirrup leather slot perfect, getting them even, you know. So hopefully that helps, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm just now starting to read the comments. Got a comment here. Let's see here. Well, what language do I speak besides English? An American. That's about it. I know. I don't even speak English. I speak American. Why is my username in the right side? I don't know. I don't know much about technology. I know a lot about building saddles. When will I be putting the fork cover on? The fork cover on this saddle will be going on right after I get the ground seat done, because then I'll be putting my strainer plate cover on and my gullet cover on, which goes in here, covers that. And then this saddle will have a rawhide roll on the front end. So this saddle will be, I don't have any saddles up there that have a rawhide roll on them, but this fork cover will be going on next. Right after I do the ground seat, the next thing will be the fork cover, and then the back of the cantle. So hopefully that answers your question. How to cut out one, get one on. Well, when you're cutting the fork cover out, remember to cut it out of the belly of the side so that it'll stretch. So go down into the belly of your side, and right in the belly, dead center of the side, right in the belly, that's where you want to cut your fork cover. And if you're wondering about a pattern, there's not much of a pattern on a slick fork. But what I would do is I would take my tape measure, and right across the front of the horn, I'd measure down past the fork about, if I was just starting out, 3 inches, so that I know I make sure it's correct. And so on this saddle, about a 20-inch piece, and then measure through your handhold and around your fork. And I would make it on this saddle, you go all the way around, and where your tape matches up is 12 inches. So I would do a 12-inch by 20-inch piece in the belly, cut that out, fold it over, mark where your horn goes, cut out where your horn, so it goes over your horn, and then fit it on. That's how I would do it. So I hope that answers your questions. Do I make English saddles? I have never made an English saddle. I've always wanted to, I don't think I would make it traditional. It'd be completely floral tooled with a lot of silver. But no, I have never made an English saddle. Uh, just Western saddles. So did I get all of the? Oh, somebody asked, what is that? Okay. This, I think you're asking what the tree is. This is called a wade tree for a wade tree saddle. This has an 8-inch swell on it with a 4.5 cap for the horn, 4 inches tall. This is called a wade tree. The one in the background is a swell fork. Now that was a duplicate tree. A guy brought me a tree and I sent it off to have it duplicated. It was his great grandfather's saddle, so I made one to match his great grandfather's saddle. So that's a duplicate. Um, this tree right here, similar to a wade. One distinct factor: the swell on it is a little bit more rounded. So it's called a Visalia. It's a 3B Visalia. It's considered an A-framed saddle with a Hamley horn. Now this horn was designed and originally done by Hamley Saddlery out of Oregon. So this is a 3B Visalia, and this is a Wade. So hopefully that answers your question. It's about the best way I can answer it. So, oops. What is it made of? This tree right here is made of wood and then covered in rawhide. So most guys use like a poplar or a cottonwood to make their trees, um, especially the wood rawhide ones. On the Dusty Smith trees, he uses a lot of hardwoods. So you can kind of see it in the fork. He uses a lot of hardwoods, and then he puts fiberglass over the top of his tree. So this is called a wood glass tree, where this style is wood rawhide. This is the style that they've been building trees for 200 years, and they still hold up. I mean, the person that ordered this is going to be roping bulls, so they still hold up. They're still my favorite. They weigh about 5 pounds less than a wood glass. So if weight is a factor, you get tired of throwing a heavy saddle up on top of your horse, go with a wood rawhide over a wood glass. Hope that answers your question. Did I miss anybody? Hope I didn't miss you. If I missed you, send me an email and I'll answer the question in the email. That again is Sterling at stingsaddlery.com. If you go to stingsaddlery.com, it'll pop you over to my email. So hopefully I got you all you guys. But yeah, so that's how you do your plugs for your ground seat, and that's how you do your stirrup leather slot for your ground seat. Hope you guys enjoyed this live, and look forward to the next one. Hope you have a good day and enjoy the weather out there. Right now here in Montana, central Montana, we're sitting at about 2 feet of snow. So, and it's supposed to drop down to 24 below zero this weekend. So I'm glad I'm a saddle maker. Anyhow, enjoy. Talk to you later, folks. Don't know how to shut this off.